In this lesson, we're going to discuss the unit circle. We are now going to define the trig functions using the unit circle rather than ratios of the lengths of the sides of right triangles. The values will still be the same, but now we're just going to look at it from a different perspective. And so the unit circle is a circle whose radius is 1. So from the center out, and the center is going to be the origin. So this will be my y-axis, this will be my x-axis. And from the center out will be a length of 1. So a unit circle is a circle that has a center at the origin and a radius of 1. If I pick any point that lies on the circle, let's call it the point xy. If I plug in that point, x and y, into this equation, x squared plus y squared is equal to 1, you'll get a true statement. If you choose a point that is not on the circle, for example, this point here or this point here, those will not satisfy the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. In other words, if I plug in the ordered pairs to any point that is not on the circle, it will not give me a true statement. In the first example, we're given an ordered pair that is on the unit circle. We're given the first coordinate, which is the x value, the square root of 3 over 2. And we need to find the value of y. And we know that it's supposed to sit on the unit circle. That's given to us. So it needs to satisfy the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. So I'm going to plug in my value of x and solve for my value of y. So I've got the square root of 3 over 2, and I'm going to square it, plus y squared is equal to 1. When I square my value of x, I get 3/4 plus y squared is equal to 1. Then I'm going to subtract 3/4 from both sides. So I get y squared is equal to 1/4. And then I have to square root both sides to solve for y. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. When I take the square root of 1/4, I get plus or minus 1/2. Now I could have two possible answers depending on what quadrant I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at the unit circle, there are two places where x is the square root of 3 over 2. That would be here and here. Y in those cases could be positive 1/2 if it's in the first quadrant, and if it's in the fourth quadrant, it would be negative 1/2. So depending on what quadrant you're in, you could have one of those answers. Because the problem doesn't say specifically what quadrant we're looking at, you have to answer both possible answers. So we have two ordered pairs. We would have the square root of 3 over 2 positive 1/2 and the square root of 3 over 2 negative 1/2. In example 2, it says show that the point 3/4 and negative square root of 7 over 4 is on the unit circle. If that is on the unit circle, then it's going to satisfy the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. If it is not on the unit circle, then we're going to get a false statement and it's not going to satisfy that equation. So I'm going to put in 3/4 for x and negative square root of 7 over 4 for y and see if I get out 1. Well, when I square 3/4, that gives me 9 over 16. When I square negative square root of 7 over 4, that gives me 7 over 16. And when I add 9 over 16 plus 7 over 16, I get 1. So this works. In the next example, we have two parts. In part A, we're given the x coordinate and what quadrant we're in, and we need to find the y coordinate. And in part B, we have the y coordinate, and we're given which quadrant the point is in, and we need to find the corresponding x value. So For this one, we're given the x coordinate, and we know it's in quadrant 4. This symbol here, you'll see me use it occasionally. That means in the set. It just is a mathematical symbol for saying that that point is in quadrant 4. Now, we need to plug in 5/13 in for our x value and find the value of y. So we're going to square 5/13, which is going to give me 25/169. Then we're going to subtract 25/69 from both sides. When we do that, we're going to get 144/169. And then we're going to square root both sides. This could be plus or minus. So that's going to be plus or minus 12/13. Now, because it says this point is in quadrant 4, that means my y value is going to be negative. So my corresponding y value is going to be negative 12/13. So my complete ordered pair would be 5/13 and negative 12/13. Now, if the problem said we were in quadrant 1, that would be where y is positive, so we would choose positive 12/13. In the second part, we're given the y value, and we need to find the x value. So we're going to plug in 3/5 into the equation x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. That's going to give me 9/25. Then I'm going to subtract 9/25 from both sides. And I'm going to get 16/25. And then I'm going to square root both sides. So I'm going to get plus or minus. So I'm going to get x is equal to plus or minus 4/5. In this problem, it says the point is in quadrant 2. And in quadrant 2, x is negative. So my complete ordered pair would be negative 4/5 and positive 3/5.